Sometimes it just takes one event, one single spark, to push an entire system right to the very edge. And that is exactly what we saw happen in late 2025 with the U.S. immigration system. Today, we're going to unpack how one decision pulled back the curtain on a system that was already cracking under years of pressure. This right here, this was the explosive statement from the head of Homeland Security. And it dropped just hours after a terrible shooting at Brown University. This sentiment was then used to justify an immediate and pretty drastic action, hitting the brakes on a major immigration program. Okay, let's get right into it. The suspension of the green card lottery, it grabbed all the headlines. But here's the thing, that's not the whole story. Not even close. It's really just a symptom of a much, much bigger crisis that has been brewing for years, and it's affecting millions of people. All right, so first up, let's talk about this spark that really set this whole thing off, that decision to just halt the diversity visa lottery. So you might be asking, what even is the diversity visa lottery? Well, Congress created it for a pretty straightforward reason, to diversify the mix of immigrants coming into the U.S. Each year, it offers up to 50,000 green cards to people from countries that historically don't send a lot of immigrants here. And for many of them, this lottery is their only shot. So what was the official reason given for the shutdown? Well, the administration was very direct about it. They pointed to the fact that the suspect in that Brown University shooting had gotten their green card through this very program years earlier, back in 2017. This one case became the public justification for shutting down the entire thing, practically overnight. And right away, that raises a massive question, a constitutional one. This program isn't just some policy memo, it's an actual law passed by Congress. So can the executive branch just decide to turn it off? You can bet legal experts jumped on this immediately. As immigration attorney Gary Grant pointed out, the idea of collective responsibility, punishing a whole group for what one person did, that's just not how U.S. law works. The consensus here is pretty clear. The president probably can't just scrap a congressional law, which means this is almost certainly headed for a huge fight in the court. But look, as dramatic as that lottery suspension was, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. To really get what's going on, we have to look at the immense pressure that's been building under the surface for years. And that brings us to the great backlog. It's like a pressure cooker. Just take a look at this number, 5.4 million. By mid-2025, that was the net backlog at U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS. And get this, that's not even the total number of applications waiting. No, that's just the number of cases that are already officially late, past their target processing times. It's staggering. And when you break it down, it's even more revealing. Look at this, almost 1.7 million people just waiting for a work permit. We have to remember, these are not just statistics on a page. Every single one of these numbers is a person, a family waiting to be together, a professional who can't start their job, all of them just stuck in bureaucratic limbo. And here's where it gets really interesting. Check out the difference in wait times. Even though there are way more family-based cases in the system, if you're coming in for a job, your average wait is way longer. We're talking over a year. Think about what that means for businesses that have recruited this talent and are just waiting. So you gotta ask, how did it get this bad? Well, it's basically a perfect storm. The number of applications has just exploded, way past what the agency can handle. USCIS is short on staff and short on money from Congress. And on top of all that, the workload isn't even balanced. Some processing centers are just buried, creating these crazy bottlenecks.
Okay, so it's not just about the sheer volume of cases. This crisis is also about the rules of the game themselves, which have been shifting under people's feet, making the whole process feel like walking on quicksand.
And a huge piece of this puzzle is something called the public charge rule. It's been around for over 100 years, and it's basically a test to see if a green card applicant is likely to become primarily dependent on government cash to get by. It's a standard step in the process. But here's the crucial part, how that rule is changing. The rule we have now, from 2022, it's pretty clear and narrow. It's mostly about cash benefits. But this new proposal from November 2025, it's the complete opposite. It's vague, it's broad, and it could start counting things like food assistance. And what does that do? It swaps out clear rules for a whole lot of uncertainty and, frankly, fear for applicants. So what happens when you pile these massive backlogs on top of rules that are constantly changing? Well, you get a very real, very human cost. Let's talk about what it actually feels like to be trapped in this system right now. Let's really put these numbers into perspective. We're talking almost 9 months for a family-based green card, over a year for one tied to a job. And think about this. People are waiting 4 months just to get the piece of paper that lets them legally work, and 6 months for permission to travel. That's half a year where you can't visit a sick relative, all because you're waiting. And that's the bottom line. This isn't just about red tape. This backlog means families are literally being kept apart for longer. Professionals can't start the jobs they were hired for. People's lives are just frozen, stuck in this state of limbo, waiting for an answer from a system that just can't keep up. So if you're one of the people in this waiting game, what can you actually do? Well, legal experts have some pretty clear advice. You have to be proactive. Check those USCIS processing times constantly. Renew your permits as early as humanly possible. You can do it up to 6 months before they expire. And make sure every single piece of paper you submit is complete and accurate to avoid any self-inflicted delays. So, when you see a system under this much stress, the big question is, what's next? Where do we go from here? Because make no mistake, the future of U.S. immigration is being written right now, as we speak. And it looks like the path forward is going to be a fight on 3 main fronts. First, you've got the legal battles in the courts over the lottery suspension. Then you have the political pressure, with Congress now demanding monthly updates on the backlog. And finally, there's the policy uncertainty within the administration itself. What's going to happen with the public charge rule? It's all up in the air. Which leaves us with one final, massive question. Was this all just a temporary freeze, a knee-jerk reaction to a tragedy, or is this another brick in what's becoming a permanent wall around the legal immigration system? For the millions of people waiting, their entire future hangs on the answer to that question.